Dude, I've got the perfect movie. This is about to make billions and billions of dollars. So the movie would be a Spider-Man 2099 solo film. Spider-Man 2099 is basically just Spider-Man in the future. Okay, he's a really cool character, and I think there's a lot of potential for good storytelling, great visuals, and much more. First, let's move on to the story and what that would be like. Okay, so the basic plot would be Miguel as the main character, who Miguel O'Hara is Spider-Man 2099, if you didn't know. And the origin would follow the basic origin that was given to Spider-Man 29 in the comics. Now, it is nothing like Peter Parker, which is why I think the movie could really differentiate itself from the basic Spider-Man formula that we've been given over the last few years. Alright, so here I'm going to break down the original comic for you guys, and also I'm going to add on to it my story would be like for the movie. Alright, so it would start out with Miguel working at Alchemax, which is a mega corporation. It was actually in the Spider-Verse movies. They were responsible for the Collider and all of those events, which is pretty cool. Alright, so Miguel is basically given a promotion to work on the Spider-Man Recreation Project at the company, where they are trying to recreate Spider-Man's DNA. But since Spider-Man lived a bunch of years ago, it doesn't really go as planned. There's a lot of failed attempts, and after a failed test subject, Miguel has had enough. He's like, I'm not working there anymore. This leads Miguel to talking to his boss, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna quit. I'm not gonna work here anymore. I've had enough. And his boss says like, all right, okay. But then his boss gets Miguel drugged on a highly addictive drug called Rapture. And this drug, the only cure is to just work at the company even longer. And Miguel is obviously not too happy about this. He rushes over to the lab to try and cure himself of Rapture, mixing a bunch of chemicals and DNA, and that leads him to mixing his DNA with Spider-Man's DNA and creating Spider-Man 2099. Now, Spider-Man 2099's abilities are a bit different. For starters, he's got the claws, and he has the vampire fangs, which they poke fun at the movies, and it's pretty funny.
What are those claws? Dude, are you sure you're even Spider-Man?
His costume was an old outfit from Day of the Dead, and it's the only outfit he can actually wear with his abilities because it contains unstable molecules, which, by the way, is a new currency in Marvel Rivals designed for recolors, and I'm not a fan of it. Alright, anyway, the rest of the movie would feature Diana, his love interest, his assistant Lila, who was actually in the movies, and his brother Cronstone, who would also become the villain of the film and take up the Venom 2099 symbiote, which in my story, the symbiote would be created by Alchemax as like a dark secret they're trying to cover up. The look of the movie would be very much Batman Beyond-esque, and then if you wanted to compare it to the look of other movies, it would look similar to Tron or Blade Runner 2049. Alright, now with the basic story and kind of characters out of the way, it's time to move on to the actors. Alright, for the actors, first up we got Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099, the main star of the show. Alright, so for him, I got Oscar Isaac, because Oscar Isaac just played the character perfectly in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and I think he could do a great job. If not Oscar Isaac, then I would like to cast maybe like an up-and-coming actor and give them a shot in the spotlight. Next up, we got Venom 2099. As for the voice, I got Steve Blum, who voices Venom in Marvel Rivals. I know it's not like the biggest name out there, but I think he does a great job. I was originally going to cast Tony Todd, but unfortunately, he's not around anymore. Rest in peace. As for the rest of the characters, I'd like to cast unknown actors or actresses as well. I'd like to keep it, a lot of up-and-coming people and let the characters speak for themselves and not so much weighted on who's acting in what part, with there only being one or two big actors to carry the film. Now with the actors out of the way, it's time to move on to the real heroes of these movies. Let's move on to the I've collected an Avengers level team in charge of making the best Spider-Man movie possible. First up, for the cinematographers, in charge of basically how the movie looks. This is very important for a Spider-Man movie because you want it to look the best, and especially with this one, it's got to have a really nice visual flair. So, for that, I got Dan Mindell or Greg Fraser. Dan Mindell did The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and Greg Fraser did The Batman. Both of those movies look phenomenal, and I think they could match the style I'm trying to go for and with this futuristic aesthetic. Next up, for the stunt coordinator, this is extremely important for a Spider-Man movie, especially when you're dealing with those fast-paced swinging scenes, and I got Andy Armstrong, who did The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Just great swinging scenes in that. Probably the best swinging scenes we've gotten, honestly. Definitely better than the MCU swinging, in my opinion. And then as for the score, very important in any movie. The soundtrack, the score, is always something that it can carry a movie on its own, and I got 9 Inch Nails. This one's a bit of a risk, but they're doing the score for Tron Ares, and when I was watching that trailer, I was like, okay, this would be perfect. Just go ahead and listen to this real quick and tell me this would not be great for this movie. Alright, next up, the screenwriters. If I wasn't writing it, or the director wasn't writing it, I would have Alvin Sargent do it, who he's done basically all of the Spider-Man movies, and he's done a good job, I'd say, on most of them. Definitely Spider-Man 2 is his best work, the original one with Raimi, and then maybe Phil Lord, who did the Spider-Verse movies. I don't love his portrayal of Spider-Man 2099, so we would have to adjust it a little bit, but I think he understands the Spider-Man character a lot, and I think he could do a great job. And then finally, the fight choreographer. Definitely would be a big one in any action movie, and this time I got Andy Cheng, who's doing Spider-Man Brand New Day, and he did Shang-Chi, and those fight scenes were just perfection. Alright, and that's my Avengers team. Let me know what you guys think about that. With everything out of the way, I decided to whip up a quick poster just to give a taste of what the movie could be like. Let's check that out. Alright, chat. So here is the reference poster. We're going to go off The Batman, right? It's a great movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it. And we're going to make a Spider-Man 2099 poster, kind of mimicking it with maybe like blue color, blue and red instead of like red and black. And I think it could be sick. Alright, let's go. After adding a few more effects and some lighting adjustments, I finished up a real nice poster. Let's have a look at it.
Ready? Because there's no going back.
Thanks so much for watching. This is a new channel, so if you guys could please subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. In the future, I plan on doing movie reviews, movie news, and custom videos just like this one. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, though. This has been 2C's, and see ya! Yo, did I cook? Did I cook, chat?
Survive.